Why is it always about money? Seriously, why does every single good thing eventually get infected by this weird obsession with squeezing out more profit even when the people at the top already have more money than they could ever spend in 10 lifetimes? I understand wanting enough money to survive, I understand wanting security, I understand wanting a nice house and good food and not stressing every time you check your bank account. But when somebody already has $400 million and still spends their days sitting in boardrooms discussing growth opportunities instead of just enjoying being alive, I stop understanding the human brain completely. At that point, it almost starts feeling like a psychological disorder, like some weird addiction where no amount is enough because the number itself becomes the whole point. And meanwhile, everything around normal people gets worse because of it. Products get worse, cities get uglier, apps become unusable, stores replace workers with machines, games become casinos for children, and every single thing that once felt made by humans slowly starts feeling like it was engineered by shareholders trying to extract one more percentage of profit before everyone finally gives up and dies. And the craziest part is that people almost act like this is just some natural law of the universe now, like gravity, like everything just has to keep getting worse because investors need growth forever. Apparently this is all just business. Business gets used like a magic spell that excuses every ugly decision imaginable. Why are grocery stores making customers do unpaid labor scanning their own items while one exhausted employee watches 8 machines at once? Business. Why are companies with record profits laying off thousands of people right before Christmas? Business. Why are apartments becoming impossible to afford while billionaires buy 5 vacation homes they visit twice a year? Business. And self-checkout actually annoys me way more than it probably should because it feels symbolic of the whole thing. The store saves money and they can get rid of a worker's paycheck. That's what it always comes back to, not making life better, not making stores friendlier or more enjoyable. And I know somebody will say, well, if it saves money, then prices go down for consumers, except they usually don't. Companies save money and then keep the difference. The customer experience gets worse, workers disappear, and some executive gets a bigger bonus because profits increased by 3%. And I think that's the part that makes me irrationally angry sometimes. The people making these decisions are already rich beyond comprehension. We are not talking about some guy trying to feed his family. We are talking about people worth hundreds of millions or billions deciding that things still need to become slightly worse so the graph keeps going upward forever. I wonder how somebody with that much money still wakes up caring about more money. You can buy houses anywhere on earth, you can eat in any restaurant, you can travel anywhere. You never have to worry about bills again. If I had $10 million, you would genuinely never hear me say the word profit again for the rest of my life. I would spend my time learning languages, trying random hobbies, playing football somewhere sunny, reading books near oceans, buying my friends food, learning instruments I'll never master, getting obsessed with weird little things for 6 months at a time. I cannot imagine being 70 years old with a net worth larger than small countries and still attending meetings about data centers like some kind of money-obsessed vampire that feeds on stock growth and misery. Kevin was good in Marty Supreme because he didn't act for a single second. And maybe the obvious answer is that this mindset is exactly what made those people rich in the first place. Maybe you can never become a billionaire unless your brain is permanently wired in that way. But it still feels insane to me because after a certain point, making more money stops improving your life in any meaningful way. Nobody becomes happier going from $400 million to $500 million. That extra money becomes abstract, it's just numbers floating around in accounts while real human beings work themselves into exhaustion, and I think modern society has developed this weird worship around rich people where we automatically assume anybody with a lot of money must understand life better than everyone else, when honestly a lot of them seem deeply disconnected from normal human experience. They are good at making money. That's it. The earth itself starts feeling secondary compared to investor excitement. Huge stretches of land become giant industrial computer warehouses humming day and night, consuming resources at a scale most people can barely imagine. We destroy forests so people can scroll faster on phones. We automate jobs while telling unemployed people to simply adapt faster. We build gigantic warehouses full of servers consuming ridiculous amounts of power so algorithms can optimize advertising slightly better. And the justification is always future innovation. But innovation toward what exactly? Toward who? Why does every technological advancement immediately become attached to monetization instead of human happiness? Why does every beautiful, useful thing eventually get turned into a machine for extracting attention or money? Every company suddenly needs its own platform and subscription, and just watching TV somehow became stressful again. And maybe the most depressing part is that there are genuinely passionate people inside these industries originally trying to make good things. Game developers who love games, engineers who love building things, filmmakers who love movies, designers who care about beauty, but eventually enough money enters the equation and everything gets flattened. The people making decisions stop being the people who actually love the thing itself. Suddenly, every decision gets filtered through profitability projections and shareholder expectations, so games become loaded with microtransactions, apps become addictive on purpose, movies become safer and more repetitive because risking originality threatens profits. Even YouTube feels different now compared to years ago because everybody is optimizing for retention and monetization and algorithms constantly. The big YouTubers don't make videos for people, they make videos for the algorithm. There has to be a point where human beings can simply say that they have enough money. We can focus on making something genuinely good instead of endlessly squeezing people harder every year. And honestly, I think that's why older things often feel more human sometimes, not always better technically, but more sincere. Older games, older websites, older stores, older neighborhoods. Before every single inch of existence became optimized for monetization, people occasionally made things because they genuinely liked making them. There used to be websites that looked terrible but felt made by an actual human being sitting somewhere excited to share something weird they loved. Everything might be more streamlined and optimized, whatever that means, but it's also just dead inside. Restaurants become chains, stores become algorithms, cities become investment opportunities instead of communities. Even art gets discussed like stock portfolios now. Every conversation is about profit. If you have a conversation and it isn't about profit, the conversation just isn't over yet. Human life is full of beautiful things that barely cost anything, yet modern society acts like infinite financial growth is the highest possible purpose a person can dedicate themselves toward. It's also what a lot of people respect the most in other people. If someone drives a Ferrari, that person almost always gets more praise than the guy who is just a genuinely nice person but has money issues. And maybe I sound bitter saying all this. Maybe I sound naive too, but I genuinely think a lot of people feel this exhaustion now where everything starts seeming contaminated by profit eventually. Every app wants subscriptions, every hobby eventually has to become a side hustle, every passion gets turned into content creation advice. Nobody dreams about simply being happy and useful anymore because the internet constantly teaches people that maximizing money is the ultimate measure of intelligence and success. What is the point of being alive if every beautiful thing eventually gets reduced to a business strategy? Sometimes I see billionaires still aggressively pursuing more wealth at 80 years old, and it is just insane. What a loser. Maybe human beings are just naturally greedy and all of this was inevitable. But I still think people can build things because they love them. I still think companies could decide enough is enough and focus on making products beautiful instead of endlessly profitable. I still think having millions of dollars should make somebody calmer instead of greedier. But then I look around and see billionaires with like an hour left to live and they are still trying to become slightly richer before they die, and I just wonder what went wrong.